Welcome back to the ConunDRUM. It's been like 2 years. So Quarter Notes kind of took over for a little while, was doing that with conversations with drummers, which was the initial idea for this podcast. The ConunDRUM started in the pandemic when we couldn't play shows. So I wanted to have conversations with drummers, and that kind of evolved into all musicians and artists. So I kind of fell in love with doing that, and the ConunDRUM sort of became that, which I love doing. And so then I had to take a break, and then during that break, had the opportunity to do the Quarter Notes podcast. So I jumped on that and love doing that. So now it's under my channel, so I can kind of be a part of two worlds. And really excited to get back to doing the ConunDRUM. First episode back is a big one. It's with PJ Dunphy. Now, if you don't know who he is, you're probably living under a rock, because he's been a part of the New Brunswick independent music scene for like decades, and he's been a part of some very important bands that have come out of this province. He's supported some big name acts, playing with the Monoxides, playing with Iron Giant, was a co-founder in the Motor League. He's now with Which Is Which, and it's phenomenal, the body of work that he has. And so we kind of get into all that. He tells some crazy stories from the road, and just his outlook on music and what he's looking to in the future, because he's far from done. So yeah, PJ is a solid dude. He's one of my favorite people, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to sit down and get to know him better. So with that, enjoy my episode with PJ Dunphy, and welcome back to the ConunDRUM.
Yeah,
For
totally.
sure.
Oh,
Right.
you guys are good motherfuckers, man.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, man. We love you guys. So this episode, this right here, what we're doing right now, is the
Yeah,
first episode that I've done for this show in 2 years.
yeah.
So I'm bringing
Cool,
it
man.
back. I'm bringing it back. I told you that you'd be the first one back, and you are. And to
Yeah.
celebrate, I'm gonna pop this up.
Hey, freaking right, man.
Yeah. So
I love that.
yeah, I'm gonna have a little splash of that on ice.
Crown is good.
Just on
Yeah.
ice. I opened that on Christmas
I'm gonna
Day.
go. I'm gonna go grab something too to join you.
Right on, brother.
Just a sec. There we go. Yeah,
There we
I'm
go.
not much of a drinker these days.
Same. The special occasions, man.
Cool. I
Right.
paid my dues.
Yeah, really. We're gonna get into that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, because you're kind of I mean, you're a humble dude, and but you've been part of the music scene in Atlantic Canada and for a while, and
Yeah,
you hold a lot of respect from a lot of people, and justly so. So I just kind of want to get into some of that with you, and just kind of not like this is your life kind of stuff, but
I'm
want
looking forward to it, man.
I want to dive into some shit.
Yeah, cool, man. Let's do it.
And with that, you're also the final piece of the puzzle. Like this is me collecting them all. I finally have all the witches.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you guys are my
no.
favorite band, like, of all time. Like, I love you guys so much.
Thanks, dude.
The first time I saw you guys, I'd heard about you guys and I hadn't gotten a show. And then the first time I saw you was when we played that first show at the Well. This was like in 2016, like it was a few years ago.
Yeah. That's a fun place to play too.
Oh yeah. It's still kicking. Not doing a whole lot of rock shows and stuff.
Our two bands really, hit it off really good.
Yeah, from night one.
Yeah, we love you guys.
Yeah. So I've got both color variations of your vinyl. I've got your split that you guys did with Frig Dancer. So what is there anything coming, like anything new coming, Witches, like as far as music releases?
Yeah, we start recording here, and then that's like we were thinking about starting this month, but we pushed it back. So probably like February, Marchish.
Okay.
And there we just been writing, and it takes a long time. Like, we're a funny band because it's like we want to play, but writing takes a lot of time. So then it's like we play and then it's set back for like months, and then it's like, well, let's take a couple weeks off. you know.
Yeah. And I
So
mean, and you guys are all adults, you're all working adults, like you're all,
yeah,
and that, I mean, that's kind of the challenge we have with Sean being in Moncton, and he's got his job and me and Jack have our jobs here. And so we're at the point with the songs that we have that if there's a show, we have our set that we can, like, the week before, hash it out and be ready for a show. So at the drop of a
yeah.
hat, because we put in all
Guess
those
what?
reps, right? What's that?
Guess what?
What?
We changed our set. Like, yep, 2 shows ago, there's a completely different set list now,
Oh yeah,
which is amazing
awesome.
because we played that old set. Like, oh my gosh, it's funny.
Yeah, it gets repetitive. Like you kind of, not that it, not that it's ever boring or anything, but it's
Yeah,
kind of like what's coming next, and it's kind of predictable. So you kind of want to
yeah.
even
Well, you
just
always
changing the
want
order.
something new from a band.
Yeah,
Like you see the same thing over and over again. And I'm a big fan of changing stuff up, but we just sort of got into that comfortable mode, you know. And then it's funny because we were kind of making mistakes during the change because we got so used to the old, like,
yeah.
the old set. But feels good though.
It feels good, and yeah, then
Yeah.
once it becomes part of the machine again, you just rip it off, and it's yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
man.
yeah, like so, like half of our set now is the new stuff that no, like it hasn't been put out yet.
Oh, dude. Like our last show together, like that new stuff, like blew my socks off, man. Like those songs were rad.
I'll have to
It's
send you.
like a lot different.
Yeah, it's a little bit more aggressive,
Yeah,
but it's kind of weird because those are the more aggressive songs that are on the album that are going to come
yeah,
out, and then there's some stuff that might kind of surprise you as far as the sound, but it still fits. So I'll have to send you the album just so you can hear it, give some feedback.
yeah, man. Like I was like that night we played together. I was like, holy god, like this stuff is wicked. Like it really. I mean, like I've always liked the stuff,
Yeah,
but it just sort of seems like you're finding like a new direction, but still keeping in the same vein.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, but it was heavy, man.
yeah. There's some good stuff on that. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
dude.
really excited to put
I,
it out.
I loved it.
Yeah. Um, okay, so if we go back into, let's start with your beginnings, not necessarily like bands and stuff, but like your
Yeah,
beginnings as far as music and stuff like that. So did you come up from, like, first of all, like, where are you from? Are you from the Moncton area
yeah,
originally?
yeah. Riverview.
Okay. And like, so was your house like full of music? Like, is that something that started at an early age?
No, like my dad was like a sports guy, like like a sports legend from around here, basically. Like he played like for, like the equivalent of the Moncton Mets when he was 12. Like
Holy fuck.
yeah. So like I grew up playing provincial sports all my life, you know, and but the odd thing is my dad had like Sabbath records, Zeppelin records, but they were always like hidden in the closet and you know. But it was when I first seen Kiss,
Okay.
that like when I was a little kid, like my parents said I was about maybe 4, and it was them and Cheap Trick on TV, and they said like I just got so enamored, like I couldn't take my eyes off it.
Right.
So they bought me an acoustic guitar that Christmas, and I opened it, picked it up, and I smashed it like Pete Townsend, like right away.
Hopefully it was like a cheap Sears guitar.
Yeah, exactly. Like I just wanted to smash it, like, and then, but growing up, like, there's not much music in my family. Like, there's a little bit, but the guy across the street from me,
Okay.
his name was Darren Cobbett. He played in a band from here called Pond Scum. When I was a little kid, like grade 4, like 5. So I got into Black Flag and Dead Kennedys really, really young, like,
Right.
like 83, 84 ish, and going to shows. Like, I was into the Exploited like in grade 5, stuff like that. And, that was a time when there might have been like 20 punks from the city,
Yeah.
like nobody even knew what it was. And it felt like it was mine, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And like I knew right then when I heard that, like, type of music that it was what I had to do. Like I loved it, and then like I just became that,
Okay. So
and
it
worked
took
on
over
music.
everything.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
and of course you always rebel against your parents, right? So I was like, screw sports. I'm gonna skateboard, cause trouble, you
Yeah.
know. So
So
yeah,
that would have been around what year that?
that would have been like probably like 84, 85 ish, and then I went to school in Riverview, but then I had to go to school in Moncton for junior high. I kind of got in some trouble in grade 6. So, and my dad was a school teacher.
Oh
So
yeah.
that's where I met Derek from the Monoxides.
Okay.
He was in my grade 7 class. He walked in and he had a Scorpions t-shirt on, and I was like, there's my dude, man.
Yeah.
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 And then it just all snowballed. Like, then I went back to school in Riverview, hung out with Steve and Ken from the Monoxides. Like, here's a funny thing though, is that back then there was a punk band called Old Skull. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
Yep.
They had a song called like "I Hate You, Ronald Reagan" or something. No, what was it called? Socials. Anyways, they were little kids, like 8, 9 years old, 10. Like they were kids of punks, and they had videos like on Much Music. And it was horrible, but it was awesome. And so I went in to see Mark Gadet at Sam's, and I was like, dude, you have the Old Skull tape? And he's like, no, but I got something better for you. The Monoxides from Riverview. He's like, they're 3 years old. The drummer's 4. Like, me and Mark, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I spent a long time trying to find out who it was as I'm hanging out with Steve in school. And I was like, dude, have you ever heard of this band called the Monoxides? And he's like, yeah, that's my band. And I was like, really? I thought you guys were like 3 and 4 years old. Like Mark told me that. And yeah, so then I just went over to watch them practice, and I originally sang.
Okay.
And like I had never even picked up a bass.
Yeah, because did you even have a guitar at that point since you smashed the other one?
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't at
Okay.
all.
Okay.
Like when I joined the Monoxides in 1990, because they started in 98, it was just Steve and Ken.
Right.
And like, but they had demos out, like funny ones. But yeah, I sang. Like, so I came in, but like I came in as if it was like Ian MacKaye from Minor Threat.
Yeah, yeah.
While they're playing kind of slower kind of tunes, and I'm just like, like, And then I just wanted to learn how to play bass. Like for some reason, I always wanted to learn how to play bass.
Bass is
I think it was because
badass.
Darren Cobbett across the street played
Yeah,
bass.
could be.
So, and I was that band's gopher. Like I'd go to the store for them, and. So, yeah. And then I picked up a bass, learned it.
Mm-hmm. Technically, bass would be like your first instrument.
Oh yeah, I didn't pick up a guitar until Which Is Which.
Fuck off.
Yeah, like I had no reason to play guitar.
Wow, that's crazy because the
Yeah,
guitars, like the guitar tones and the style of play, like your strumming and the riffs that you come up with, I mean, I can hear a lot of different influences, but it's still
yeah,
like uniquely you guys. That's crazy to
that's
me.
cool. Yeah, well, a lot of people say that I played bass like a guitar,
Yeah, I mean,
like
like
almost like
like
Lemmy and
Lemmy
like
and yeah,
Butler.
yeah,
So, but I never really picked one up. Like I never really owned one. Like,
really. Because like
but
the
yeah,
sound, like even the guitars that you play are kind of not the norm that people like. You don't see a lot of cats playing the guitars that you have.
yeah, like one of my favorite guitar players is Derek from the Monoxides, and he's like King Tone. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I grew up growing up with him and learning all that stuff from him. Like he's been a big influence
yeah, yeah,
with playing bass and guitar, just music in general. Like
yeah,
when it comes to that side, probably my number one.
yeah. And then Monoxides, like you guys kind of became like New Brunswick's band. Like when you guys kind of took off and like you guys had that segment on Much Music and you guys were on tour and you were supporting some bigger acts. Like I think you guys played for like with ZZ Top or something like that.
Yeah. We
Um,
did like 8 shows, I think, or 6 or 7 shows together
Yeah, yeah.
in
And you guys were
'97.
still pretty like young at that point.
Yeah, yeah, like basically like, well, I did 5 years in high school, but like I graduated and we signed the record deal like 6 months later.
Yeah, yeah.
So like
Uh,
we were really young. Like Ken was the youngest, so Ken was probably 19 when we signed the record deal.
yeah. And then from there, it was like cross Canada tour and
Oh yeah, like we lived in a van basically. Like we toured for 3 months, home for a week, 3 months on the road, home for a week, and never fought once.
that's awesome. I mean, that's
Yeah,
the whole testament of being friends first, right?
dude, like that band, like the guys are special guys. Like we uh we all grew up together, you know. But like my parents were always amazed. Like they would drop me off after 3 months together living in a van. I showered and go meet them down at Fat Tuesdays at the bar and go have drinks. They're like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but yeah,
yeah. I mean, they become your family basically. I mean,
oh, dude, 100%. That is my family. Like
yeah.
it. And then when that sort of kind of stopped, like you know, I went to school and Derek went out west to work for Matthew Good and Strapping Young Lad. It really bugged me out because like I was
Yeah.
like I know myself that I was meant to play, like, and this is what I wanted to do. Like I would just eat bread and water and be a bum and play music my whole life and be the happiest guy in the world,
Absolutely.
you know. And uh, then he called me one day from out west and was like, "I'm coming home, dude. Let's form a band." And then that's when Iron Giant started.
Yeah. Because I was gonna say, yeah, like from the Monoxides, you go into Iron Giant, and then you got Johnny on there, which Johnny is such a fucking amazing drummer. So he came back from out west, and you guys formed Iron
Dude.
Giant. So how did you guys kind of pick the lineup for that?
Well, it was like we had known Johnny, and I had seen Johnny play a bunch. Like he was in a Motorhead tribute, but the one I actually play in with him was still going back then. Just had a few different members, and he was also going out with one of our really good friends. So like we were always talking and stuff, and we knew that he was perfect. Like when me and Derek talked about doing Iron Giant, we knew that it was going to be tuned down to C, Sabbath, stoner rock,
Sludgy heavy,
and
yeah,
yeah, and that's right when we started seeing Johnny play a lot. So it was like, dude, you want to form a band with us? And he's like, yeah, man, let's do it. you know,
yeah,
like Johnny's just the best that way,
yeah,
you know. And then we, we were really trying to think of singers, and Chris never really sang, but we just sort of felt like he would, he could do it, you know.
hmm
And it like right from day one, man, that band just felt right.
yeah. Yeah,
Like,
because yeah, he
you
has a
know,
presence on stage. Like whether or not like you can sing, like it's having the right people in the right roles. It's kind of like
one hundred
um,
percent.
it's kind of like casting. I forget what I was. I think it was a podcast or something I was listening to, and he was talking about how he cast the right people. Oh, it was Black Dahlia from the Dwarves. He was on a podcast talking about one of his songs and how he cast the right people for the studio to put the project together. So
Right.
that's the whole thing with putting any project together. It's about having the right people first,
Oh man.
and then
But
from
and
there,
Blake Elliott, like he's pretty serious, man.
yeah, yeah. Oh, and
Like,
he's a scholar. Like,
yeah, like you have to, like, like, like that's such a that chemistry is so huge. I've always said like you got to enjoy the smell of their farts.
yeah,
Like because that's how tight and close it gets. Like
yeah. Speaking of Sean
and
McClafferty,
yeah, man, yeah, yeah, that's hilarious. And like that band right from day one just felt right. You
yeah.
know,
And then that
like
band kind of took off too, because you guys opened for Marilyn Manson. You guys played
yeah,
some pretty big stages with that. So does that
yeah. like one of the things in the Monoxides, like, we were in Toronto and, like smoozing with record label people all the time. And,
Mhm.
We always heard that once you're in, you're in,
Yeah.
meaning like you've broken down the walls. Now people are going to know who you are,
Mhm.
So like our shows just always did really good from the start, you know, like, just from being known as, the Monoxides and a little bit. And, Chris was known too. And, people knew Johnny. But that made it a lot easier. We didn't really have to go out and pound the pavement super hard,
Right.
and get frustrated,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah,
And
because that's when a lot of bands like kind of fizzle out because they just, I mean, it's like you're hitting against a brick wall all the time. You don't get anywhere, and then you just kind of get disheartened, and you're like, well, what's the fucking point? Like, it's not enjoyable. You're not progressing anymore, and
well, yeah.
that's when a lot
Like
of people fall apart.
Ian Blurton, once, like Ian's like my dad, like he's my brother, but he's like, form a band, do it for 2 years. If you haven't done anything in 2 years, form another one, get out of it because it's
Mhm.
not gonna, put your stuff in storage and go.
Yeah,
Like if that's what you want to do, But if it hasn't done anything in 2 years, stop it,
move on.
start over again with
Yeah,
something,
yeah,
And it kind of made sense, you know. But also with us, like I've always been a big fan. Well, I mean, with the Monoxides, we learned that being the big fish in the small pond was way better than being the small fish in the big pond. Like moving to Toronto,
yeah,
like the people in Toronto are going to hear, man, this bar is packed. Like these guys are packing bars down east. Whereas if it was in Toronto, we wouldn't.
yeah, yeah,
Nobody would have known us if that's where we were starting.
yeah. Just another,
So
yeah, yeah, just another
you know,
small act.
like yeah, out east is great for that, but people just sort of like think that they have to move away. But I think the opposite.
Mhm.
You
Oh yeah,
know,
gain. I mean, that's gain a following, gain notoriety. Home, and for
yeah,
for us, it's a little weird because Miramichi is such a cover band central type of a location. It's very small
yeah,
town that way. So the punk scene and the hard rock scene is really, really like, well, I don't want to say it's non-existent, but it's not as prevalent as like say in like Moncton or Fredericton or even like
yeah.
in St. John
But
with
it's
with the
passionate.
Panic Room.
The
Those
people
that
there are passionate about it.
yeah, those that love it. But
Yeah,
we'll see, like for us, like we're based out of Miramichi, but
yeah,
we're not really, like we're more Moncton and Fredericton. That's where we get most of our following.
yeah,
You know,
yeah. I love playing in the Mirror Machine. Like I think the shows are great.
that's a good time. Yeah,
Yeah,
but you can't
like,
you can't overdo it. Like where in Moncton there's a show like every weekend. In Miramichi, to
yeah,
have that kind of a show, you've got to space them out. Like you can't do
yeah,
it all the time, right? Because there's only a
yeah. I mean,
couple
you
of
shouldn't
venues.
overdo it anywhere. It's really anywhere. Like
Yeah, yeah,
you know, I've always said that turning down even good shows is better for your band than sometimes playing them. You know, so but I think you guys is from here too. So
yeah. I mean,
you know,
that's kind of, yeah. We love playing Moncton. It's been a while since we've been in Moncton. I mean, it's been a while since we've been anywhere really. I think the last out of town gig we played would have been,
we'll
well, it
get
was
you guys down.
before. Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. We'll touch on
Yeah.
that in a bit. But I think the last out of town show we did was the Panic Room a few months ago because Jack has hockey season with his kid and stuff. So the winter time we kind of hibernate a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Hockey's busy too, man.
Hockey's fucking busy. Yeah.
You
So
know, man, Jack would be a fun dad.
oh yeah,
You
for sure.
know,
I mean, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
you
I've
know,
seen some video clips and stuff that his family posts and stuff, and he just acts. He's very serious and passionate about everything that he does, and I think, and that lends itself to what he does with his children. Like, and I don't want to speak on his behalf, but his
yeah,
kids and his family are like number one, and which is crazy because of how much time and effort he puts into the music. So like, it's just
yeah.
um,
Well,
but
you
it's
got
like,
to. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
it would drive him nuts if he didn't.
yeah.
Like,
Oh
I knew
yeah,
I had to.
yeah. Same.
Like, I just would be miserable. and I'd be like, my kids, I'd be like, you little brats, like, you know. But instead, they grew up like with sitting on Dallas Green's lap. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
at my house, like they, my kids like had a blast.
Yeah, I mean,
You know?
you've got quite, and that's another thing with being like from all those projects that you've been involved with, like those, like you say, when you're in all those connections that you have, and we don't need to like name drop or anything, but you're a good doorway into a lot of more, I guess, more known musicians and people in the industry.
And me promoting shows have helped too.
Yeah,
Because I had the Paramount Manhattan Oxygen that I did for 7-8 years or so. After me and Johnny had opened a bar called 53rd and Third, and that was basically like the first live venue. And that was like 2001. And my uncle owned the Esquire Tavern, and
rest in
that's
peace.
where I started doing
Fuck.
shows in the '90s.
Yeah, last time
Which
I
is a
was there
shame it's
was
gone.
Nashville Pussy. It was the last time I was
Oh
at the
yeah,
Esquire. Was Nashville Pussy and Fifth on the Floor. That was a fucking
yeah.
killer show, man.
Was that the first time they came?
No, it would have been the second time. It was the
That
last time they
yeah,
came. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
Oh yeah. Like, oh, I love that band. They're so fun.
yeah. Hanging out with
But
Blair
yeah,
and
promoting.
and Ryder outside. I think Sean's got pictures of. I think it's Ryder put lipstick on and kissed his bald head. So yeah, and then she signed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryder's awesome.
Oh yeah,
That
they're
like
great.
Iron Giant and Nashville Pussy are like brothers. Like they were like a brother band. Like we toured a lot together. And the last time I seen them was in Toronto. We were playing in Toronto, and but we weren't playing together. So at the Bovine, we closed the Bovine in the back room, and that's when Ryder was dating Jeff Hanneman. So Jeff Hanneman was there in that back room, and it was like, holy
Yeah,
crap! Like,
yeah. Guitar God
God, I
enters the
played on
room.
Rain and Blood here,
Yeah.
But we didn't talk about Slayer once.
No, why would you?
I'd rather talk about Discharge and The Accused and crazy punk rock bands that he was into.
Yeah, or like, what's the last fucking horror movie that you watched, or something?
Yeah,
Like that kind of
exactly,
shit.
man.
Yeah, yeah. I'm more into
Yeah,
that kind of stuff. I mean, this show kind of delves into the whole musical influence and stuff, but I want, like, getting to know people, and the hang is where that's what makes it the industry. That's what makes what we do worthwhile, is having
but yeah,
conversations
man,
and
that's where the magic
chatting.
happens.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
Hmm. Um, so
I've always found that I've ended up becoming friends with bands that I'm not really a fan of
mhm,
that much. Like, and I think it's because we just don't want to talk about it.
yeah,
Like, I mean, of course, you respect the bands, of course, and I mean, I like them, like, but like, just they're great people,
yeah.
you know. You just don't want to talk about your band 24/7.
No, because
You
it's like
know?
talking about work. It's like when you're
Yeah.
done work, you don't want to talk about work. That's like
No, man, the
when
pizza
I
guy
was
doesn't go home and make pizza.
no, it's like when I was talking to Patty from DOA, we were talking about how much live punk rock he listens to, because when they're on tour and you're hearing all the opening bands, and then after that, like, and they give you their CDs or whatever, and you're on the road, and then when it comes to time to listen to something in the van, you're not going to listen to punk rock or anything. You're going to listen to something completely different or nothing at all. Like, you kind of have to
Oh
have that
yeah,
disconnect, right?
it's amazing when that happens because just before that happens, you were saying to yourself like that would never happen.
Yeah, right.
Like like I'm so into it, it's gonna and then it's like I don't want to even listen to it. Like, but it happens, man. It's like anything, you do it and you change.
Yeah. But it still forms who you are, and it forms your opinion and your worldview, right?
Oh, 100%. You know, so like yeah, like and promoting really helped. Like what I do, like and me as a person and the bands I play, and like like when I joined the Ditch Pigs, and then we started the Motor League, and then like that was during that time, and like promoting was a big part of my life and helping my bands get out there.
Yeah. Well, and you need to, otherwise you're just gonna, like you say, there comes a point where you have to venture out and, play other places. And the only way to do that is
Yeah.
to have a connection with somebody on the other side, right?
Well, exactly.
Because that's how they used to
Like,
do it in the day with like the phone book, like just
yeah,
calling
DOA.
places. Yeah,
Like Joey Keithley was, without Joey Keithley, like punk rock would barely exist in North America. Like he made like that book that he had, like that's why bands toured, and got out. He's Joey's a wicked dude, man.
yeah. I'll see
I
if I
hear
can.
Patty's awesome. I don't know Patty though.
Oh, Patty's the best, man. Patty's so fucking cool. Yeah,
I've always heard good things about him.
yeah. We got to hang out with them at the Punkocalypse there last year. Just stellar humans. Highlight was after our set, Joey walks by, gives us a pat on the back, and was like, "Fucking killer set, love your sound." It's like, holy shit, that just came from Joey Shithead.
Yeah, man. That's like, and just think that he's still doing it.
Yeah.
Like
He's still
incredible.
very much on the pulse. Like he knows what's going on.
Yeah, like it's not a job. Like it's life. Like
So you mentioned the Motor League. So were you a founding member in the Motor League?
Yeah, me and Don started it.
So I didn't know that.
Like I was in the Ditch Pigs for about 2 or 3 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
Once Jeremy had left, and then the Ditch Pigs, we had disbanded, and then me and Don started getting the Motor League going.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
and
what
then,
was
like the original plan was basically to have almost the Ditch Pig guys, but sort of just change the sound a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
But then they didn't want to do it as much as me and Don wanted to do it, and then we sort of branched out and got other members, and then it snowballed from there.
Oh yeah, they're still going, kind of.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they still play shows. I mean, you guys just played that Christmas show, Monoxides and Motor League. Like, how was that? That was at the casino, wasn't it?
Yeah, that show was great. Like it was great at the casino to do it, because I think as Moncton bands and New Brunswick bands, like that can actually happen more.
Yeah, I think Smile for Johnny kind of showed them that there is that community of people that want to see those bands, and
that's hard to do. Like to get that attention by itself. Like, but Johnny, like that, like the community. I've never seen the community come together. Like that was amazing.
Yeah, I wanted to go, but I wasn't able to get there.
Oh man, you were there in spirit, of course.
Oh yeah, and I've watched all the videos on YouTube, and people were on live, and I was trying to chime in and watch as it was happening, and yeah.
That guy's a warrior, man.
Yeah,
like we did the Motorhead cover band shows, like with the Cancer Bad guys.
Yeah,
he was almost like passing out after the show, puking, like, but you couldn't tell him not to do it.
Oh fuck no, you wouldn't be able to get him to not do it.
No, man, like he was gonna do it regardless. Like if he, like inspirational.
Yep, and that comes back to what you're saying. Like it's who you are, right?
Exactly. And Johnny's one of those, like drums have always been his, like it's like his blood, he lives and breathes drumming.
Yeah, no, he's definitely an inspiration to
I
a lot
find
of
that
us.
happens to drummers.
Yeah,
Pardon
maybe.
me?
I was just saying, like he's definitely an inspiration to me and a lot of guys that are a part of the East Coast drumming community. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you guys are pretty tight. Like there's like the drumming community is like really sort of taken off. Like,
It's
like, taking care of each other and supporting each other.
We're a different breed. Like I forget who I was talking to, but we were talking about like the difference between drummers and like other players, like guitar players or whatever. Like for a drummer, like you see their setup or what gear they're using, and you're like, oh, come here, check this new piece of gear out. No, I'm using this pedal and these are my settings. Like we're like totally transparent. But then like you have a guitar player who's like fiddling with his pedal board and somebody comes to check him out and they're like, get the fuck away from my shit. Like, don't look at that. Like very
Yeah,
secretive,
exactly. Yeah,
you know,
and then the snottiness comes out a little bit,
right.
and then nobody wants to talk to the keyboard player if you got one.
if you got one.
I barely just squeak in there as a bass player,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, all the
yeah,
tone
no, but
chasers.
it's nice to see that happening.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing worse than seeing competitive people that put each other like bands down. Like
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time like we were all doing that, and it's like, what are we doing, man? Like it's not like you got to support each other, you know.
Well, would that have been more the time when like it was the chase for the record deal and it was the chase to kind of get ahead of the other
Yeah, like
person?
exactly. Like that's the way it felt to me, you know. Almost like you like a jealousy, envious, not people towards us. Like I mean, like even us in general, like it was just yeah, it was just different times.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, because then it was like
Like
you
you
want to get the
supported,
big
but at the
break.
same time you just
Yeah.
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 But like yeah, like those were different times, like you know.
Yeah.
But it was about time we got rid of the suits.
Yeah, and
you know.
that's the thing about the music and the independent music scene now is that people realize they can do it without all that stuff. And it's
Yeah.
better to do it that way because then you don't have other hands that are trying to touch the art and what you're trying to create and do. It's more
Well, yeah.
representative of the band where it's like, if you're writing a song in the studio and then you got some executive or somebody that's like, well, you need to make this song sound more like this other song because it's going to get on the radio or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
like that doesn't exist as, I mean, I'm sure it exists, but it's not so much in the independent scene. That's why you have like so many
No,
different
that was
bands.
huge. That was
Yeah.
huge in the record label scene. Like the Monoxides, like we took less money and stuff like that to get 100% creative control. Like nobody from the label was allowed in the studio. Like they couldn't even open the door. They didn't hear the record until we handed it over to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how we wanted it.
That takes guts.
Like we've heard stories about like people like taking drummers and bringing drummers in after the studio's closed
Yeah.
and replacing drum tracks.
Yeah.
Like that's shitty, man. Don't like number one is it's drums, man. It's like it's music. Like
Yeah.
Suits ruined it. like you know. And then
Yeah.
once you realize that like a Sheryl Crow fan is the one that's doing all your marketing and you're wondering why you're failing, like
Yeah, really.
like that it was more about the degree in school than it was about the music,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So now it's way better. Fucking A.
Yeah. I mean, and there isn't as much money, but
Hey,
then if you're doing it for that, then it's not the right reason for doing it anyway.
no, man. There's never been much money.
No, it's about self-sustaining. Like if you can make enough
Yeah.
to keep the project rolling, then
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's the goal.
It's do what you love doing, man.
Mhm.
Like happiness. I'd rather be like happy than have money.
Yeah. Yeah.
Money's evil.
Yeah.
But
Well,
you
and
need it, unfortunately.
yeah, and that's the whole like when you're a kid or when you're younger and you're seeing all those bands on those posters and stuff, and the jet setter lifestyle, rock and roll lifestyle, and like you're kind of taught to think that way, and then when you realize
Yeah.
what the reality of that is, you're like, well, I don't want to be whatever that is, because
Yeah.
then I'm not myself anymore, right?
Yeah. But the
So
funny thing about that is like the way that all the Monoxides guys are giant music fans. Like we're like encyclopedias,
yep.
And when we signed our record deal, like the record label almost was like, we got to do something about them. Like they're out of control. like and our manager was like, listen, like those guys know what is sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like it wasn't like that during the 90s, like when we were signed.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was pretty tame, but we weren't. Like, they almost
Well,
got rid of us.
well, I mean, I mean, they should have
We were
expect that. I
kids.
mean, you were kids, right? And you
Yeah,
give
man.
kids any type of per diem or anything, and they're gonna fuck shit up.
Well, yeah, like I've always wanted to throw televisions out of the window, like, stuff like that.
Yeah.
but it like it wasn't so much, like we grew up thinking like Motley Crue living was the way, and
That's
having fun, like that was rock and roll.
yeah.
There was really only one band that was living that way, and that was the Headstones. you know, like like and they were crazy. Like
Yeah.
it was awesome. Because
Yeah.
we toured with them, and that was the craziest tour I ever did.
Yeah. Was that would that have been during the time that they made that movie?
Hardcore Logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, just after that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
and it was the album that they were touring was called Smile and Wave.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that was a big song.
Yeah.
It got a lot of
Oh,
rotation. Yeah.
like that tour was crazy. Like, man, like it was rock and roll. That's for sure.
Yeah. Playing like hockey arenas and shit.
No, no, like it was just bigger type bars. Like 500-600, like but that bus was sure rocking after the shows. like, and Hugh, like that's when like Hugh was, like living, living harder, and it was wild times. Like we were like, oh, it is alive,
Yeah. Nice.
So,
So what the being in that you've been in, I guess 4 now that I know about the Motor League, pretty influential bands from New Brunswick. What is the writing process like during like each of those projects? Like how involved are you as far as like coming up with the riffs or sort of the structures or melodies and stuff like that? Like
right, yeah, like the Monoxides has has always been like basically like Steve. I mean, it is all of us.
mm-hmm.
Like we did, like I did lyrics sometimes, and and there's riffs, of course, but Steve writes great stuff, and that's just the way it worked out, and still works out that way to this day. And so I don't bother, like
your lane. Yeah,
like I know my role. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it works, and and we're happy to have it work that way.
Yeah.
And but then Iron Giant, that's where I let loose and started writing a lot. And I think it's because stoner rock's basically a bunch of bass riffs, like
yeah.
And I mean, Derek wrote too, of course, but Chris did all his own lyrics. But yeah, and then Which is Which, me and Dan both write. But the writing process itself is just, it's funny because all the bands are the same. Like we show up, the riff happens, and then we just piece it together at practice, see what works. The song always changes. It has to feel right, and sometimes the best songs are the ones that you just write when you're tuning your guitar and you come up with something. The unexpected always ends up being the best.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because then everybody puts their little piece of whatever. Like even if you show up with, like a set riff or a set order of stuff, like then somebody's going to add something that's going to spark another idea.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. And like my big thing too is every song has to have a hook. Like something, whether it's a stop or something, just the listener's going to get bored even halfway through. But if you can sort of just do something to snap them back in to make them pay attention, so I try to have lots of, like keep it pretty hooky.
Yeah.
And hooky doesn't have to be catchy. It just has to be something that makes somebody pay attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I like because like I was saying earlier about the Witches and like hearing so many different pieces of influence in your guitar parts, and same is true with Dan and his bass lines and stuff. But like there's like the Cult in there. There's fucking some I just lost the Thin Lizzy. There's so many pieces that, but then when you're playing it, it sounds like you. Like
yeah, it's funny, eh?
Yeah.
Like it's amazing how many people come up to me afterwards and they're like, how are you getting that sound?
Yeah.
And it's just from not knowing. Like I play bar chords different than most people. I play them backwards. Like
Yeah.
so I put the heavier string into it more than the higher string. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like cuz when I'm seeing you play,
Yeah.
I'm watching where your fingers are. You're not doing that typical like bar chord
Yeah.
formation. You're playing more, and you're doing
Yeah.
a lot of bends and a lot of like
Like say if I was playing like a D bar chord, most of what I'm playing is actually A. Like my fingers would be on A, like on the first string, and then A on the third. So the only D is one string, but that's what makes it heavier. And that's a fast Eddie flat like Motorhead type, but I don't like kind of riffy, Thin
yeah.
Lizzy too. And I just liked when I did it, and I was like, that's heavy,
Yeah. And
like.
being a
But you're
three
right.
being like a three-piece instrumental, like I mean you have Lizanne singing as but it's still essentially a three-piece band, and that's what we have. You really have to kind of approach it in a different way in order to maintain that level of heaviness,
Yeah,
because you don't have that other guitar player filling in when you're doing leads and stuff. Like you have to
yeah.
make that sound.
Oh, I hate leads. Like because my leads are end up being bass runs. Like I find leads are so hard. Like actual guitar leads.
Yeah.
Like I end up doing like just ends up being
No,
bass runs, but it
but that's
works.
part of your signature sound, right? That's
Yeah,
part of
true
what
enough.
makes it what it is.
Yeah, yeah. But that band, like the reason, like that band formed, like it's a funny story, in reality, like how it ended up working
Yeah.
because that was like pretty much my end of Iron. Like when I was in Iron, like Iron Giant, like I was living in a bad way. I was partying pretty hard and wasn't very healthy. And Iron Giant sort of became a job at that moment, and I
Mhm.
hated it. Like I didn't like it, and I almost quit playing music. But then I snapped out of it and was like, "What am I doing? This is me." So
Yeah.
I had to think of a time when I liked it, and that was high school. So I'd seen the Din play, and I wanted us all to learn together, and that's why I switched to guitar.
Okay, that makes
So
sense.
we all it was like going back to high school again.
Yeah.
You know, and me and Dan had a completely different outlook. Like we wanted to do something like Bauhaus and the Attics, like, but a band never truly ends up being what you start out that
Mhm.
started what you wanted it to be originally. And yeah, man, like I would go to practice. We'd be there for 5 or 6 hours. Like I was so happy playing music again. Like, and then I became a guitar player.
Yeah.
Like I love playing guitar now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad you do. Like, and because like I was talking, because I've had Nadine and then I had Dan and Lizanne all on the podcast, and Dan was talking about how he'd seen Nadine because he and Nadine go way back. He'd seen her play a Ramones tribute show, and she was
Yeah,
starting to get into drums. And then they kind of wanted to do something together, and then they kind of came to you, and then it was just the three of you for a while.
yeah.
And like, how much convincing did they have to do at that point? Because since you were kind of in that kind of a dark cloud.
They never even looked at it as a dark cloud. Like my dark cloud became a fun dark cloud. you know,
Okay.
and I guess we sort of just treated it as funny, like but it like I moved out west to help myself for a little bit,
Hmm.
and but they them two have always been great. Like they pumped me up so much about playing. Like they were so enthusiastic about
Yeah.
it. Like, and you seen it didn't smile,
Yeah.
like and play drums and be so happy. Like it makes me happier.
Yeah.
And I seen her in that Ramones tribute too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna play with that girl, you know. And it was kind of like Luzanne, like when I seen Luzanne do karaoke kind of thing.
Yeah.
It
Because
was
you had
like,
a couple of singers before these.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I was dating a girl, and then she came in and sang. She went out west with me. I came back.
Okay.
Yeah,
She stayed. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And then we got Katie, who was also like Katie Young, who was with City Bus Handjobs, and like another dose,
Yeah.
like Colton Young's sister, like they're Moncton staple, like younger punk bands, and but she just couldn't find the time. You know,
Yep.
she had to pick and choose, and she wanted to play with her brother.
Yeah.
So
Well, and that makes sense. So like that's a whole other thing with like playing with a sibling. Like,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
yeah. And then Lizanne came in, like, and Lizanne, man, I don't think I've ever seen somebody transform as if she was doing it right from the get, like
That's
as if she's been
crazy.
doing it for 30 years.
When I found out that this was her first band and that she had
Yeah,
just been doing karaoke beforehand,
yeah,
it blew my mind. I was like, are you like, that is crazy. Cause when she's on, like all three of you are, to me, like I said, you guys are my favorite band, but as individual pieces, you're all so unique that when it comes together, it just creates that wall of sound. And then you add the Zen on top of that, and
yeah.
it's just on another level because she commands that stage and her outfits and stuff. Like it's
She
the
owns it.
it's the perfect recipe. Like
Yeah,
you guys are like a
like
fucking bucket of KFC. Like it's just perfect.
yeah, perfect. Yeah, like she's already perfect, and then the costumes are like the extra tasty crispy.
Yeah.
It just makes it that much better. But she really blew me away, like with her.
Mhm.
Like I told her, I'm like, you're with me for life, man. Like in some way, like because she's a pro.
Yeah.
Like
Some people they just have it.
yeah,
Yeah.
like and arts like
Yeah.
she's but you're right. Like we're all different people. Like from each other.
Hmm.
That when we told people that we were playing together, people were like, "Oh, that's really weird. Like, what the hell is this going to sound like?" You know, like I can't see it working. Like I think that's even what Ray 13, like Ray Offrey was like, what's this gonna be like now? Weird.
Yeah.
But it worked, you
Yeah.
know. And I was so worried about it that I got the band to do our first shows in Newfoundland, so that way it was far away from Moncton. Which
No,
was great.
that's yeah. And you kind of learn to be on the road a bit that way too, right?
Well, that was there's some funny stories about that though. Because I booked the show in Newfoundland because I didn't know how we were going to be live, like, or even if our songs were good. So, like, I didn't want to wake up the next morning in Moncton and be like, PJ's new band is shitty. I'd rather hear that in Newfoundland. You know what I mean? And so I called the promoter, my buddy Ian Newton over there. And I was like, he's like, well, what do you want? And I was like, well, get us our tickets and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, give me the shittiest band house you can find. Because paying your dues is really important to me.
100%.
And I wasn't going to let them walk into a hotel right away.
Hmm.
Like there was cat shit in the shower. Like it was pretty serious. Like it was gross, awesome, gross. But they did it, man. Like I loved it so much.
Yeah.
We went home and they're like, oh, next time we're doing a hotel. And I was like, oh yeah, no, for sure. Like I'm proud of you, but like they paid their dues, so it was good.
Yeah.
Because I slept on some pretty disgusting things where I thought like even as a guy that I was going to get pregnant. Like so. But God love them, like little cat shit in the shower.
That's
In
yeah.
bed. It was awesome, and the shows went well. People loved us, so
Yeah.
it was
And
great.
yeah, and you guys pretty much had your first album songs at that point, right? Because like you guys had been writing all those songs
Oh yeah,
before you got the singer, the
yeah,
first singer or whatever.
yeah,
And then by the time you come and so Newfoundland would have been before Lisanne?
yeah. Katie, yeah,
Katie
just
would have been.
before,
Yeah.
yeah. I
Um,
want to bring Lizanne over, like you
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but like Monoxides and Iron Giant have always done well in Newfoundland, like so. Even the Motor League too, and
Mhm.
Sheevil, like 'cause I was in Sheevil too, which band I love so much.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we were still playing. You ever
Yeah.
hear that band?
No, I have not heard that band.
3 bass players
Oh,
and
nice.
super heavy. Like, yeah, we
Well,
have a
well,
vinyl. Like, there's a record out.
okay. So
It's
it wouldn't
me and
be,
Sean Crawford. You know
wouldn't
Sean?
be. Oh yeah, from Hard Charger.
Yeah, me, Sean, Kyle McDonald,
Mm-hmm.
and Kyle sings too. And then Errol Gervin from the Peter Parkers playing drums. It's heavy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's awesome. Like, I love that band a lot.
Is that available on any type of streaming, or is just physical copies out there?
The physical copies for sure, not many. Like, we only pressed 100 copies.
Yeah.
Not even 50 maybe. But I'm sure you could probably find it online somewhere.
I'll have to dig
I
that
don't
up.
think it's on Spotify or anything like that.
Probably
But
not. Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, Iron Giant
but
just came to Spotify last 5 months.
yeah, yeah, and we're talking about putting that album out on vinyl too as well here pretty
Yeah, yeah.
soon. Like Creator Scars, you
Yeah,
know.
it's a fucking killer album.
Yeah, I love that record. Like, I remember when I wrote Creator Scars, the song. It was, I think, the first time like where I was like, oh my god, I think I just wrote a hit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, I was like, I think I just wrote a hit, like, in my head.
yeah,
I was so happy because it's so Thin Lizzy-ish. Like,
yeah.
you know, man, I was so excited. It's like I wrote a hit.
And then, I mean, so with which is which, you guys won a couple awards at Music New Brunswick. This would have
Yeah,
been just after, or no, just before COVID.
yeah, before COVID. Yeah, it would have been probably like 2018, maybe, or like
Yeah,
17,
it was like,
somewhere's in there.
was it Fans Choice and Breakthrough Artist or something like that?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you took two trophies. I know that.
yeah. But I'll tell you, man, like when this band started playing, like it took off.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah, like a rocket.
yeah, man. Like North by Northeast called and they're like, "Oh man, like you guys are in if you want. You got to be here next week." Like North by Northeast, like. And I was like, "You guys want to go up?" They're like, "Oh, we can't because of work. Can we
Mm-hmm.
do it next year?" I'm like, you don't
Mm-hmm.
understand. Like, this is huge. Like they don't do this." And it took off, man. Like I was so surprised, like how I mean, not took off like quick, but
Yeah,
it it just did really well. People were like just pumped from the get go, you
yeah,
know. But work is what made it hard.
yeah. Well, the work
I
makes
wish,
everything hard.
yeah, I really wish that we could have done way more because I feel like this is like the band would have done a lot more, you know.
Yeah,
But
and
oh
and
well, it
then,
is what it is.
I mean, you guys had that momentum going in, and then I mean, COVID fucked everything for everybody. So that
Yeah,
was like 2 years, and then even the slow crawl coming out of it. Like I find it's still affecting things a little bit now with how shows and things are booked.
oh yeah, yeah. Like I
Yeah,
know a lot of musicians that haven't even played since.
yeah,
Like they got so used to not playing that they just stopped,
yeah. And now
which
they
is
just
wild.
and now they'll put stuff out, like they'll record stuff and release it, but then not play shows or not do anything with it other than whatever, throwing it out online.
Yeah, which I think that's the way I'm going to be going. Not now, but probably
Yeah, because
in the not so far along future.
you'll always maintain your creative side, and you know,
Yeah.
I mean, as a drummer, I'll probably be the first one. I mean, I know Sean's like 1,000 years old, but I'll probably be the first one to have to hang it up, right?
I
Just
was going to say a million.
no,
No,
he's got
no.
some of that vampire blood in him. Yeah.
Suki.
Yeah. So yeah, we got, I know Dan reached out a while back, so we have a show that we're going to be doing together, I think in April, he said.
Yeah.
I don't think it's been announced yet, but I know I can't fucking wait for that show because it's going to be a
I
killer
don't
show.
even know anything about anything. Like with this band.
You just told where to show up?
Yeah. Like, because normally I take care of the bands, like Iron Giant and stuff.
Mhm.
But once I do, it's full force. Like, like we're touring,
Okay, yeah.
And that's what I know. So I told them, I'm like, you guys do it, and I'll show up, and because if I start, then it's going to be
Yeah, yeah.
full tilt boogie.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
have you ever thought about being, or have you, maybe you have done it, just like a band manager, like just a tour booker for bands?
um, I mean, I have thought about it.
Because you'd be like an invaluable resource for a lot of East Coast acts to kind of break out of the bubble.
Yeah, I'm just not sure whether my old school ways are still relevant.
I think they're
It's
more
such a
relevant
different time. I mean, they're still relevant in ways, but it's a lot different now.
yeah,
Like the way that things are done. But booking
because
shows is still the same, of course.
yeah, but don't you, I mean, just with the way things are kind of cyclical, do you think like it's kind of going back to that?
Yeah, I mean, very well. Yeah, yeah, which would be awesome because then I can start touring again at 80. Like, I want to form like my Black Flag band and tour at like 80. But yeah, like I think I'd like to get into producing,
Oh yeah, fuck yeah.
like not so much engineering per se, but like help with
Help with
like
creating songs and kind of
yeah,
lend your skills that way. Yeah.
yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. But then again, at the same time, like I know it's hard to let somebody in and do that with my stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like because we had Mo Bird do the Monoxide stuff, and we did that record, like Mo from the Pursuit of Happiness, and at first it was kind of weird, like, oh, you guys, do this, and it was like, no, yeah, okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then you start to get better at it, right?
Yeah.
Like, it'd be hard to let someone, you know,
Yeah. It is hard to let somebody in.
take the
Like,
reins.
yeah, like I'm kind of lucky with the last two albums that we've made, the songwriting and stuff. Jack is very open to structure, and whenever he brings a riff, I always try to come up with a couple of different variations on what I'm doing behind the kit. Like
Yeah,
first I'll do it like a half time, and then I'll try like a double time, or I'll try, just different things or different ways to, like, maybe instead of on the hi-hat, it's on the floor tom, or it's on the ride,
yeah,
or kind of thing. So I'll try to give them like three or four different options, and then we kind of narrow it down from there.
yeah.
Um,
Try as much as you can.
so I'm very lucky that I'm able to to do that and
Yeah,
lend that part of it, but I try to not step on the actual riffs or whatever. Like I'll make suggestions with, okay, maybe we should just do this once the first time and then do it, the two or the three times after that, just as
yeah.
far as structure goes. Just because
If I played in a band where that didn't happen with a drummer, I would lose my mind. I don't think it's right. Like to have one person like just be like, "This is what you're playing,"
yeah, no,
like
yeah,
like man, it's a band, it's a collective.
yeah,
We might not do it because it's not right for it.
yeah. If you try it and it doesn't sound right,
Have fun together, not control.
yeah, 100%. I
Like
mean, there still has to be somebody driving the bus though.
oh, 100%.
Like somebody still has to have that vision, that driving sound. And I think, and with Six Gun Smoke, that's definitely Jack, because just the aesthetic and the kind of vibe with that spaghetti western kind of cowpunk. I don't even know what the fuck we are, but
Yeah,
there is that sound that we have, and that comes from his creativity,
guitar
and
playing.
then we add that,
Yeah,
those elements.
you round it out, right?
Yeah,
That's your role.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. Like I know what my role is, and I try to
Yeah,
stick with that.
but as a unit,
Mhm.
it's important.
Yeah,
Like that's the band.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
if it wasn't, then it would just be called the Jack Band. Like jack off.
Even the Jack. Yeah, no, I don't think so. But he, like, that's the thing with, I've been in bands with Jack since high school, so we kind of have that,
Yeah,
that chemistry down. We've known, and we played with bands um in around the same scene with Sean, so he's always been in the picture. And then when he joined the band, it kind of filled it all out.
yeah,
And then there was that brief time health wise that he had to step away, and James filled in. And then since he's been back, it's just been full gear, like full
yeah.
throttle. and we've kind of found that I don't want to say that sound because we've had that sound before, but it's like we're very much focused on, and
Yeah.
that's what you're hearing in the new songs. Like we're
Yeah,
very
man. Like
focused.
it's like you're in the pocket now, like as a unit
Yeah,
together.
yeah,
It's like it's funny because sometimes it can take a long time to get there, but once you do, you don't even have to watch each other anymore because you know what everybody's going to be doing. It becomes like three people become one.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it's cool.
yeah,
It it's special, man. Like
yeah,
being in bands, like I just love it, man.
yeah. Oh yeah,
Like
it's a
it's
lifetime
such a
thing.
neat thing.
Um, okay, so at near the end of the show, I do like a quick fire question thing, so it's
Yeah,
not anything crazy. First question I always ask is, do you prefer?
penis.
That should always be the answer. So, do you prefer cake or pie?
Cake.
Yeah, any
What am
specific
I
cake?
saying? No pie, man.
Yeah,
Pie for sure.
yeah.
Sorry.
Any specific one or?
Peanut butter pie, coconut cream pie,
I haven't had peanut butter pie. Where do you get that?
peanut butter pie. Like when you go across the border at like Woodstock,
Yeah,
Holton,
yeah.
there's a place called Dysart's. It's like a truck stop, way like just that way down a bit, and they have peanut butter pie, man, and it's the best thing in the world.
Holy fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
because I'm like my blood is literally peanut butter. Like it's
I
all
love
fuck.
peanut butter.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, love it,
Okay, so I'll have to keep that in mind or keep an
man.
eye out
Like me
for
and
it.
you were gonna sit down and just eat a big giant jar of peanut butter
Oh,
sometime.
yeah.
Let's do it. Cool.
I'll bring a jar of peanut butter in April.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm down. It's so
Crunch.
funny because I have people show up at shows like that sometimes, like with like
It's the best
salt
road
and
food.
gravy, like fish, and we'll sit up back after the show and eat it. Like,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, dude,
you know,
like when you're on the road, like that's how you do it on the cheap. Just a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter.
oh yeah, well yeah. There's even nothing sandwiches. You ever have one of those?
Just bread.
Nothing sandwich. You just put two pieces of bread together and picture
Yeah,
what's in the middle of it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Those are good too.
yeah. So what live event do you wish that you could have attended? Like if you could go back in time and pick an event that you would want to experience in person.
like a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think probably like my biggest regret, like for band wise, because they were around, like I could have seen them and I should have. Was the Ramones?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I should have went and seen the Ramones at least once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody should have seen the Ramones.
Yeah. I think that's kind of a
Like if you were of age that you could have.
yeah, general rule. Yeah, for sure.
You
Um,
know,
do you have like an event or a show or anything that you did go to that you wish you could go back and experience for the first time again? Like something that blew your mind that you kind of want to have that holy shit moment again?
Oh, most definitely. I'm just like, yeah, one that we played, and that would have been probably the first time we played CBGB's.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because we played there twice, right? But the first time, like, was so important. Like, it was just like that feeling of wow.
Being there. It's like
Yeah,
sacred ground, right?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I would go back and go to this show all the time too. It was the first time that we hung out with Chicks Dig It, like who were really good friends of ours, and we first met in Cleveland, Ohio. And
Kind of
it
a
wasn't a good
random
way to meet, but
it's kind of a random way to cross paths.
yeah, because we were playing somewheres, they were playing somewheres, and we packed up so fast to go to it. And we walked in, me and Derek were the only ones that were 21, and it was all like crust punks, like full on crust, like punks, like.
Yeah.
And Chicks Dig It are playing, and they're like, "All right, we're Chicks Dig It. How's your mom?" And they're like, "Fuck you," like, and throwing bottles at them, like it was horrible.
Yeah.
And then we ran up, we like went on stage, and we're like, "Dudes, get down. We're packing you up. You're getting out of here."
Oh
and
yeah.
we packed them up so fast and we got out of there. It was
Holy,
bad,
holy
but
fuck.
it was an experience.
Yeah, for sure. And that was in, you said Cleveland?
Yeah, in Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah, that was at the Euclid Tavern where Michael J. Fox and Joan Jett had a movie called Light of Day.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was the bar.
Holy Brad.
Yeah, yeah. Like
Um,
that chick thing that we're playing, like, and they played like it was this stage was like this high, and there's these like thrust punks like 5 feet away kicking bottles at them. It was heavy, man. Like they would have got killed. It was wild.
that's not the right crowd for that band.
Yeah, no. Oh, like I just walked up stage and it was like, get out of here. Like we're packing you guys up. Let's
Yeah,
go.
let's go.
And then the Monoxides on tour, we had 4 riots one trip.
Really?
Yeah, like in one of them made you remember the TV show The National? Hi, this is
Yes.
Peter Mansbridge.
Yeah, the National, yeah.
Yeah, it made that one. It was on that.
Holy
That's how
fuck.
my parents found out about it. Yeah, that was in Kamloops. Like
That was
it was
before cell phones.
Smalls. You ever hear of Smalls?
No.
Yeah, you know who Corblund is? No, the country guy, but they're an independent band from Edmonton that would draw like 2,000 people. Like,
okay, that's crazy.
They were huge out there.
Yeah.
So we were playing in this hall in Kamloops, and they put 600 people in a room that held about 150, and it was fine. But then the cops showed up, got on the stage, and pepper sprayed the whole crowd.
Holy.
Oh man, kids beating cops with tire irons, like full riot squad. Like, oh, it was crazy. And then that one made the national news. Like, hi, Peter Mansbridge here tonight in Kamloops. You know.
Yeah.
And then
the venue would have probably lost their license, having like.
Well, yeah, it was
capacity.
a mental health hall. Like,
okay,
it was kind of like a community center.
Yeah.
But the show was going fine. The show was almost done, and then they came in. If they would have just let it be, it would have been fine. Yeah, like kids like on top of the roof, like a building throwing cinder blocks on them, like on the cops. It was crazy. And then we were playing in Toronto. This one's wild too, at a place called the Gasworks. Like,
yeah, I've heard of that.
World.
Yeah.
And so it was a biker bar, and there was 2 different gangs there that night, and they weren't fighting, you know, like it was sort of peaceful, and we were headlining. And then this band came in from out of town, kid band, and they brought a busload of their friends. And then at one point, the biker, one of them was on the stage introducing like one of the bands or doing a draw or something. And one of the kids went up and poured a pitcher of beer over his head. And then we watched every single one of those kids get the shit kicked out of them. Like, it was crazy. Like, have you ever heard of the Guardian Angels?
No, I'm guessing it's an MC.
No, it's like no. It's like a group of people like in big cities that have berets.
Oh yeah,
they march down the street. Yeah, like they showed up. Like 100 of them showed up, like marching to like help. Like, it was crazy. Oh man, like it was wild. Like, yeah, and that was all one trip across. Like, another one in Winnipeg, a big one. Like, yeah, so 3 riots, I think. Yeah, like basically, yeah.
Wow, for the Monoxides, like you guys aren't like some crazy hardcore like band or nothing. You're, that's usually you'd think of something like that with like a band like Black Flag or right, yeah.
What was that?
So you'd think of a riot with like bands like like Black Flag or like some sort of crazy, But,
oh yeah, like this was nuts. Like just watching them like grab kids and like just, oh man, it was wild.
Yeah, it's one thing to like when you see that kind of violence on TV, you kind of, it doesn't really register this. Like when you see that in person, when you see somebody literally get knocked out in person.
Oh yeah.
It's traumatic for them, but seeing that is a traumatic experience. Like it's just not, those are not sounds and things that the human body should make,
Yeah. Like there was probably 30 of them that came on the bus too. like 30 of the kids, and like they were just getting dropped left and right. Like it was wild.
That's crazy.
And then we went out and played and finished the show. You know,
Finish the set and see you later.
yeah, we had to.
Yeah, well,
You know,
yeah.
like we just didn't want to cause any problems. And then in Winnipeg, there's a bar called oh shit, what was it called again? There's a big bar in Winnipeg. Oh my god, it's like in a hotel that you don't want to sleep in. Like, oh shit, why can't I think of it? But anyways, like there was like 400 people. It was packed, but it was cheap pitcher night. So pitchers of beer were like $6 or something.
Yeah.
And there was a table of pitchers that were all stockpiled up. And then this drunk kid walked over and knocked the whole table over. And then it just turned into a brawl, like, and there was only one bouncer. Like,
that's a venue problem.
Oh yeah, but that's like,
it could have been avoided.
The Royal Albert, that's what it was called.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the Royal Albert. Yeah.
Fuck.
And then Iron Giant shows were always crazy.
Oh yeah. I mean, but that kind of fits the genre of the music, like, the more aggressive kind of type of stuff, right?
Oh, that band, that was fun.
Yeah. So what would be your proudest accomplishment, like as an artist, out of all the stuff that you've done? Like, what's something that kind of takes the top spot as to something that you've done in a personal way?
Musically?
Yeah.
Like, well, CBGB's number one, because where I grew up into punk so young, like my dad coached hockey and stuff, and I played. So we would go on vacation to Connecticut and see their friends, and my dad would rent the ice for me. And I'd have to go out there by myself and do like skating drills. But I'd be like, can I go to CBGB's, Dad? And he'd be like, no, I'm not taking you, And I'd have to go out and skate and do these stupid, like, crazy, you know what I mean? Like, it drove me nuts. But he wouldn't take me to CBGB's, So I told him we were playing there. And then as soon as we started, I looked down and there's my dad front row.
Really?
Like, it blew me away. Like, what are you doing here? He's like, man, you bugged me to come here so bad. He's like, I had to see you here. And he's like, now it's sold out, like, not that it's hard to sell out. It only holds about 100 people, but
yeah, but still though, that's
still,
mean, to share that moment.
That was huge.
Yeah.
That was huge. The ZZ Top tour, playing arenas. I mean, it's all been monumental to me.
Yeah.
Right from day one, like I've lived the life of 20 people, and it's all been a blast, like, but it's getting older.
Yeah, but I mean, you're still,
I'm still doing it.
You're not a young guy, but you're not old. Like you're not past the prime at all. Like, you still got lots.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm going to keep on doing it too.
Yeah.
Like my goal that I want to do is I want to like get into putting albums out, like solo records, and have like 3 or 4 different type of genres on it. And then each genre has a release itself with that release, like if I want to do a hip hop record, God damn it, I'm going to do it. If I want to do a country record, I'm going to do it. Jazz, like,
yeah. I
listen to everything.
Oh, dude, like,
you know what I mean?
Speaking of hip hop, like just kind of a throwaway, like Def Picasso, like what are they up to?
Oh man,
fuck, they're amazing.
I don't know, like they were great, like super funny, like and good.
Yeah, they were like, super tight.
Like they were super great. They sort of seemed to slow down once Randy opened up the store.
Yeah,
because he owns a pawn shop, right? Like,
yeah.
I don't know if it's so much a pawn shop, but what's it called again? I forget. Have you ever been there?
Oh, fuck. It's right on the I'm seeing it. Like I'm on Mountain Road right now, driving past it.
Yeah,
I can see their pictures in the window.
Yeah, And him and Travis Furlong, who was
Yeah.
in Glen Request Blues Band.
Yeah. That's another
You know?
band that, yeah, I remember seeing them back in high school.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So last question. So if let's say you and the Witches are on tour and you're all sharing the one vehicle.
What do you mean? We go by broomstick. Yeah.
All right. So you're all on your individual broomsticks, but you're sharing the same Wi-Fi. So you're all
Yeah.
listening to the same thing.
Yeah.
What's the one CD or playlist or artist that you would not want to be stuck on?
Yeah, it would have to be something uh, like Eric LaPlante, or or like, hey, Bobby Pin, or something new rap wise, or new country,
Yeah,
like
that bro country stuff. Yeah, yeah.
Luke Combs or something, like that's just bad rock and roll that they just gave a term of new country to.
100%.
I hate that stuff.
Yeah.
And but I still respect anything that's music.
Oh yeah.
I might not like it,
No,
Nickelback. I still respect them, but
somebody
I
out
don't like it.
there enjoys it, and it's just not for me or for you or whoever.
Exactly.
But it's for somebody. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's yeah.
And they're Canadian, and God damn it, I want to be them, but play something better. you know.
Yeah.
But
Right on.
oh well.
Yeah. Well, this is dude, thank you a million
Oh
times
man,
for
thank you.
agreeing to do this.
I've been so excited to do this with you.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while coming, because I remember I think we were at Zeros last time we played Zeros together, and you just kind of, I think we were packing up at the end of the night, and you're like, hey dude, I want to do that show you got. And I was like, what are you talking about? It took me a minute to register what you were talking about.
Yeah. No. Yeah, no, I love doing that stuff. And it's funny too, because I find a lot of people don't give themselves enough credit sometimes. So they don't want to ask me because they think maybe I've done too much or something, you know what I mean? And that's never the case. Like
No, like I told you that night, it's like you were always on.
Yeah. Oh, I know that. Yeah.
To do it. It was just a matter of timing. And then I had to take a bunch of time off from doing the podcast for lots of different reasons. And then, it's just
I've had people that are like, oh, I wanted to ask you to play on this recording with these people, but I figured you didn't know them, and and I'm like, dude, I would have done that in a second.
Yeah, right.
Those are the people I want to play with.
Yeah.
So no, dude, I'm super happy you asked me to do it, and I love it. And you're one hell of a guy in one hell of a band.
Thanks, man. I mean, yeah, the love between Six Gun Smoke and Which is Which is so.
Yeah, man, it's real. It's
real, and I know we don't get to play together as often, and I know there's a lot of shows that you guys are booked on or that we're booked on that are not together, and it's like, oh, that would have been a killer lineup to be on that show together or whatever. Yeah. But sometimes those things just don't align, and but when they do align,
exactly. But I will tell you this: whatever show we're at and doing, you can always count on Nadine to say, "I wish Six Gun Smoke were here to do it." Yeah. She's your biggest fan. She loves you guys.
Yeah. No,
she would have you play every single show. I think she would have you play her house every day.
That's funny. That's funny.
She's a sweetheart. God love her. And she's she can hold it with the rest of the guys. She's a wild one.
Yeah, she's awesome. You guys are all awesome.
Yeah, thank you, brother.
Yeah. All right.
And say hi to Jackson. I'll say hi to Sean for you here.
Yeah. You say hi to Sean for me, because he's in your neck of the woods.
Thanks a lot, brother.
All right. Thanks, dude. All right. Thank you so much for tuning into the ConunDRUM podcast. I know it's been a while, and I'm really excited to be back with this project. For the most part, it's been musicians and artists from Atlantic Canada, and I'm going to be venturing out into a lot of other areas in some episodes to come. But the focus will primarily be independent musicians from the Atlantic region, because as I've said many times, we punch way above our weight when it comes to the industry and the talent that we have here. But with that, I do want to get to know and have these conversations with people from outside of that. So that will happen from time to time. So as far as this episode with PJ Dunphy, thank you, PJ, for wanting to be on the show and for being so generous with your time and being such an open person during our chat with telling your stories. And you're one of the true ones. You're one of the real ones, and it's an honor to be in the same scene as you. It's an honor to be friends with you, and peers. It really means a lot. When I say that, I think I'm not the only person that feels that way. I know I'm not the only person that feels that way. I think we all are blessed to, yeah, hashtag blessed. I think we're all better for having you in the scene and in our lives with the independent music scene in New Brunswick and the Atlantic provinces. So thank you so much, and can't wait to hear more. And with that, that's the end of the episode. ConunDRUM is back, and I'm so excited to have these conversations. And I hope you all stick around. There's more to come. And till the next one, take care of yourselves and each other. All right, bye.